All right, welcome in Three Guys Talking Ball podcast, our first podcast of 2023. It is January 5th, 2023. All right, I am 2 for 2 on saying 23 instead of 22 this year. So, bully for me. And well, we've got a national championship set up between one team we thought was going to be there, another team that we didn't. I'm not sure if I'm ready to fully dive deep into it, but we will. You know, we're tough. We'll face our fears, and we'll trek on. The final week of the NFL season is setting up, and we're gonna go down through the playoff scenarios of what could happen, what's going to happen, what we think's going to happen, and what we think's going to happen is probably going to be completely off. But you know what? We're going to say it anyways. And the Bison are playing South Dakota State for a chance for their 10th national title. And then, we'll finish the show up with a preview of the national championship game between Georgia TCU, and then wrap it up with Curveball of the Week. But before we really get into everything else, I think it's only fair that we have to start off with what happened. The events that unfolded on Monday night was when between the Bengals and the Bills with 5:58 left in the first quarter, what seemed like it was a routine play where the Bills safety Damar Hamlin went and tackled Bengals receiver T. Higgins, and Hamlin gets up, and then all of a sudden he just suddenly collapsed. And I think everybody kind of has seen what happened in the pushback. I was just going to see, guys, what were you guys watching live? Did you guys see it happen in real time?
No, my brother actually, Joe, texted our group chat with my dad and my Zach and Mike, and he's like, "Did you guys see what happened?" I was like, "No." Went on Twitter, saw the video, and holy hell, that was absolutely mortifying.
No, I was watching it live, on my YouTube TV account, and then I saw the tackle. I thought nothing of it. And then maybe I looked over to talk to Alec or something else, and then I look up and I see Bills players waving at the sideline and the training staff coming to rush to Damar, and I'm like, and at first your first mindset is he moving his fingers? Is he moving his feet? What's going on there? And then I thought I saw a little bit of that, and then after a while, he's just laying on the floor. ESPN kept going to commercials and not coming back, and now you're thinking, oh my God, this is awful. Like this is just, it's horrifying and frightening, and your mind goes to the worst possible thing. But no, I didn't see him. I didn't see the collapse or anything like that. I just unfortunately saw him, on the ground motionless, and you instantly think, oh, I hope he's got movement in all his extremities.
Yeah, and I didn't see it live either. I was recording another podcast that was doing a special NDSU SDSU podcast, and I had my iPad next to me, and I kind of had it on, just kind of trying to keep an eye on what was going on, and all of a sudden I look over, and I see the ambulance and the stretcher and them panning in out on guys. Not really sure. I had the volume down too, and then it showed a clip of Stephon Diggs crying, and I was like, oh man, what is going on here? And then finished the podcast, and I'm talking to Zach Willis, who I was recording with, and I asked, have you been following the Monday night game at all? And he said, no, not really. And then he went on to Twitter and was like, scrolling. He's like, yeah, this is all over my feed. I don't know what happened. And then I kind of turned the volume back up, and we were still just kind of talking after we were done recording. And then I'm scrolling on Twitter, and it was like, this guy, he just collapsed. And then there still just was nothing happening. And then once him and I got done talking and went our separate ways, I went back out into my living room, turned the TV on, trying to see what was going on. And then there was, that was when they took him away in the ambulance. It was like, oh man, this is serious. And then things started coming out. Like, our group chat was going where he was, they were administering CPR, and they were getting ready to go and play. And then thankfully the two coaches, Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott Zach Taylor came over to the Bills sideline and kind of they talked it out and just said that our guys, we're not in the right headspace. And, we can't play. And it was clearly 1,000% the right decision for sure. That's a brother out there to a lot of the guys. That's a teammate, a friend, somebody's child. I don't know if he has kids or not, but
I don't believe.
Okay.
Moment.
But you understand what I'm getting at, where it was like watching somebody give CPR, that's just something you don't come back from. Like, where just the collapse and then all of a sudden, like, that's just something that you can't, like, that's just hard to watch. Like, it was just so surreal. You think nothing like that'll ever happen. And especially from, like, a play that happens at least a couple of times a game, and then for him to just get up and just go into cardiac arrest, it's just something you just don't see. And hopefully, he sounds like he continues to improve. Hopefully, it can stay in that trend. We offer our thoughts and prayers to him and his family, and it was cool to see. The stadium, I saw there was a section of the stadium praying the Our Father together. He had a toy drive that he was hoping to raise $2,500 for, is now up to $6 million. Just to see the outpouring of support that him and his family have gotten, it is really cool to see, and it's something that, it doesn't matter what else is going on, but, the focus is this guy's well-being.
Oh, exactly. And did you guys hear what Zach Taylor said today at his press conference? When he first went over there to speak to Sean McDermott?
No.
He said the first thing is I need to be at the hospital.
Yep.
I can't coach this football game right now. I need to be here with Damar. And at that instance, they knew this, human life is much more important than a game. Screw the business side of this. Who cares what the NFL has to say? You can't play this game going on. And when they first announced that, they might warm up or they were going to post game was suspended or something like that, I said right away, you know what? These Bills players are going to tell the NFL to just, we can't do this right now. This isn't fair. We need to know how our teammate is. And it was, like you said, it was the right choice. You can't go off and play this game with this in the back of your head, especially when you see them, like you said, giving your teammate CPR and if they pull out the AED machine to jolt his heart back into rhythm too. It's horrifying.
Did you hear Dick's story?
I didn't hear Dick's.
No. I saw him going to the hospital, which is another point too. Is we have to commend the athletic trainers and the EMT workers who were quick to get there. And I know there was one. I don't remember where I was listening to, but I heard of how one of the athletic trainers was positioning people to kind of surround him, so when he was getting CPR, it wasn't in the sight of anybody, and just the quickness and where people can think like, seconds, minutes, it doesn't really matter. Well, in this type of scenario, it 1,000% did it. Mm-hmm. In one sense, hopefully, if he is when he's able to pull through this, being at a football game where you're surrounded by people and you're surrounded by medical personnel, where people can act that fast, that probably and hopefully saved his life. So you have to commend our healthcare and athletic trainers who were quick on the spot and knew what they were doing, and it just shows the importance of knowing of CPR training. And it's not a hard thing to do. It's something that everybody can go do and everybody should go do, because you don't know when something like that's going to happen, and that can make the difference between somebody living and dying.
Well, and I heard yesterday that, each meeting before an NFL game, the referees and the medical staff, the physical trainer, the physician, the athletic trainer, they have a meeting before games where they kind of put in, a plan, an action plan in case something like this happens. And they say, hey, if one player does go into cardiac arrest, who is the lead? So you have a visual. You can say, hey, it's, Dr. Steve over here from Buffalo. So then for some reason, if this happens and it's a 1 in a million scenario, you have those precious seconds and you don't have to worry about, who's calling the shots, and everything like that. So yeah, you know what? This is the first time I'm guessing the NFL has ever had to execute this plan, but this meeting before kickoff, like you said, saved this young man's life.
Yeah. Go ahead. What was Diggs' story?
He tried to go to the hospital at like midnight, 1 a.m. He Ubered there. He had to have the Cincinnati Bengals ESPN beat writer vouch for him to get in because there's so many fans and stuff out there. Like they weren't going to let him in until the beat writer like literally told him, this is Stephon Diggs, this is his teammate. Like that's how he got in.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Like he actually had to like physically like force his way in almost.
Yeah. Huh.
And yeah, because when I saw the reactions live, Diggs was the first one I saw. And once I saw him in tears like that, that's when you knew, oh no, this is bad. Like something is happening that shouldn't be happening right now. So yeah, Diggs, like that was the first guy I saw where I was like, oh boy, this is scary and mortifying, and something's happening that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, and the Josh Allen. Josh Allen's face is another one that I kind of remember distinctly, where it looked like he just seen a ghost. His face was pale white.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then you go. Grant's the smart one and doesn't have Twitter or is locked out of his Twitter account. And
it's fantastic, by the way.
The Skip Bayless tweet was. I think he's getting way more. He's getting drug under the rug way more than he should, because I think partially because the comprehension skills of this country to be able to actually read everything and not just what you want to read, because what he tweeted out, I can guarantee you at Park Avenue in New York, there was discussion of how things were going to get drug or how they were going to continue to play this game. And he tweeted it out. I don't know, Grant, if you have seen the tweets yet, but he said there's no doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how this late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Which he's saying, like, the outcome of this game doesn't matter. It's Damar Hamlin's life, and he just got drug under the rug. Maybe it was poor timing, but the difficult conversations of postponing the game or continuing to play, they definitely were going on. Like, there's anybody who follows the NFL or has I guess you could say, a functional brain, knew that there were discussions of how this game was going to start back up.
I don't think you can start it. And honestly, at this point, I don't even know how they'd even play it. Like, there's not time for it. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but like, there's no way you can even play this game. You're talking about like player safety. This would completely go against it, because either way, you're going to be looking at 4 to 5 days max to play
like
the game.
COVID after, where they'd play it on like Wednesday or something, because they're not playing it this week. And
so then here's the logistical questions about that is the city of Phoenix has a Super Bowl planned, hotels, entertainment, music people coming in from out of town, and things are booked like that. Are you going to just scrap all of that to determine who potentially wins the AFC North and if Buffalo can get a 1 seed or not. That's the logistical nightmare I don't think the NFL wants to get around, because the city of Phoenix the following weekend, who knows, they could have let's say
Well, the Waste Management is going on that same weekend in Phoenix as well.
But even then, let's say the next weekend, let's say Phoenix, where the Suns play, they're on let's say it's the All-Star break, the NBA All-Star break, and they're like, hey, they're going to have a monster truck rally, or something else going on in that city. There's just such a logistical nightmare to push this game back 1 week. Just this game, not the whole league, just this game 1 week. I just don't know how the NFL can figure this out, and I'm glad I'm not in that situation.
Honestly, just give them a tie.
Yeah, it might be the only way for now, because I don't see it being them playing a game Sunday, and then logistically it would almost have to be a Wednesday. They'd have to finish the game Wednesday, and then either play. You'd have to do it Sunday or Monday, unless they wanted to have two games on Monday. That would be the only. I think
what 2 games Monday are you talking about?
So no, like I'm saying, because the last week of the regular season is Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
They would finish this game Wednesday.
So today.
Next Wednesday, I'm saying. Because week 18 starts Sunday, and then they would complete this game, the Bills-Bengals game, next Wednesday, the 12th.
Okay.
And then they would have to do the playoff games of it. So if the Bills were to win and they'd get the 1 seed, they'd have a bye. You would almost have to make that Bengals playoff game. I think they're right now and it depends on what happened if they beat Baltimore. That would almost have to be the Monday night game as far as from a player safety perspective.
Oh man, I don't like that.
Which we don't have to. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. We can move on from this.
Well, I saw someone else. It might have been Pro Football Talk tweet. If say the Bills or the Bengals make it to the AFC Championship and they give the 1 seed to the Chiefs, do they make it be a neutral site or something like that for not having that extra game?
Oh,
where they could have the 1 seed
to determine who actually won the game.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting.
What, do they just meet in Detroit or something? Or
I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe Chicago would be cool, but I mean that's kind of in between. But the field's shit, so I mean you probably wouldn't.
You could do Pittsburgh. You go to Heinz Field. That's in between.
Yeah. That's not too far.
I mean,
Tennessee.
Damar. That's Pittsburgh's hometown. That'd be kind of. Hopefully
that would be kind of cool. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Or go up to Cleveland.
Yeah,
finally they'd get to see a playoff game.
Honestly, Tennessee's not in between, but it's probably about the same distance for both teams.
So Tennessee would be a lot closer for Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati's right there. You're right. That's
they're right.
They're like 3 hours north of Nashville.
I don't know. That's such a
because it's right on the Kentucky border.
It's close.
Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati guys actually is like Fargo Moorhead, where like the Cincinnati.
Yes,
it is.
Is like actually in Kentucky.
Well, we were looking at it because me and Hannah might go down to Louisville with her brother, and literally it's like boom, boom, like Indiana and Louisville, like Kentucky, is literally just like Fargo Moorhead.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Yeah, that part of Indiana that kind of curves down.
Yep, it literally is like the other side of the river to Nashville.
Yep,
or excuse me, to Louisville. So they're all right there. Cincinnati's like right there at the tip of Ohio too.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll discuss it when that time comes. But how was you guys' New Year's?
It was great. We spent it cuddling, watching football together.
Oh, perfect.
It was just fantastic. A lot of chicken wings to eat.
With some steak.
Some steak and a little dessert, a little football. Life was good. I can't.
Yeah.
It didn't snow.
Was went on a party bus. I suppose you guys want to talk the college football playoff games, huh?
No, they weren't that good.
We've had better weekends for semifinal games.
Yeah.
Well, from a game and competitiveness, I think this is the first time we've had a playoff where both games were competitive and came down to a final possession.
Oh, without question. Because most semifinal games weekends so far have been trash.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was either there'd be like one. So like in like the first year was Ohio State, Alabama, 15, none, 16,
None.
17,
Georgia, Oklahoma.
Yep. 18, none, 19, Clemson, Ohio State, 20, none, 21, none. And then, this one, which saw TCU beat Michigan 51-45. Michigan, it felt like the 3 weeks off, it felt like they over-prepared where they got away from their identity. They, uncharacteristic mistakes. They had a time where it was 3 trips to the red zone. They had 3 points, a turnover on downs, a fumble at the 1-yard line. Just uncharacteristic mistakes. They got out-coached. Yeah.
Why did they try to hand the ball off at the 1-yard line to a fucking linebacker?
Well, he did play fullback. They moved him the week of the Ohio State game because he was the one that threw threw that jump past the Schoonmaker, and he had 2 touchdowns in the Big Ten championship game. But
was Donovan Edwards hurt, or were we trying to get cute?
It was just a quick give fullback dive, and he didn't get his arm up big enough.
Nope.
I think
because he doesn't have the experience.
And and that was
exactly, that's not good.
And well, and the other part of it too was, what did the ref call? Yes, but the play before probably was a touchdown, but it was not
before
called
that was probably pass interference, like you said. What the ref call?
We're not talking about
the
Michigan on defense. We're talking about Michigan on offense.
This is just me. If you're Michigan, you have.
But also, though, the other part too is just QB sneak it.
Thank you.
You gain 2 extra blockers.
Thank you.
And you have an athletic quarterback, which is another part where it's like, and they didn't start using JJ's legs until it was too late. But if they use that from the start, because they haven't hardly shown it all year, they did right away when he first got in, and then they kind of just didn't use it at all because they didn't really need to because they had Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum. And, we talked about it in the preview episode of, Michigan has to force TCU to kick field goals in the red zone. TCU didn't kick. TCU converted all of their red zone opportunities into touchdowns. Mm-hmm. Michigan didn't. Credit to TCU, their defense bowed up. They played tough. They play a 3-3-5, but they're physical in there. That nose tackle is a big dude who caused a lot of problems. TCU, they made the plays when they had to. Michigan didn't.
Dugan ripped your blitz, destroyed.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, well, I mean, the Quentin Johnson, the 70 whatever yard touchdown where, it was. If DJ Turner makes that tackle, who knows? Michigan might be playing on Monday night, but credit to TCU, and I think you got to give credit to Max Duggan too, because this was a guy that was benched to start the year, and he could have with transfer portal, all of that, he could have just left and said, "Oh, these coaches don't like me, poor me." I'm not going to play here. Mm-hmm. But he stuck it out, and he's playing for a national title on Monday night. And I was listening to Bruce Feldman on the Rich Eisen show today, and he was talking about how there were D coordinators in the Big 12 told Bruce that they were telling teams, defenses, to not hurt Duggan because they didn't want to play his backup, who was the original starter.
No kidding.
Yep.
Who's his backup again?
It was like Chad Morris or something like that.
Chad Morris Jr.?
Maybe.
I mean, because Chad Morris, he was the old coach at Arkansas and SMU, remember, and formerly coordinator at Clemson. Yeah,
I don't know if it I'll let you guys do your reaction to the game, and I'll look it up and get you an answer by the time you guys are done talking.
Well, one thing I noticed is Dylan, they showed up that the stat for Michigan over these last 6 years in their bowl games, and it's loss. So I'm just curious if Michigan as a whole, for their coaching staff, if this is a Jim thing that he needs to self-evaluate, or his assistants. Why is this long layoff getting the best of them? Thing I just kind of saw as a broad statement, because it's they have not had success in this postseason really since his first year there. I mean, ever since then, it starts with that loss to Florida State, and it's you truly want to be an elite program, you have to win a postseason game and just not beat Ohio State, the Saturday of Thanksgiving. With that to your point, they were uncharacteristic, I think, in this game with their play calling. Their defense seemed, to be out of place, missed tackles. So I don't know, something was off with this team. Maybe they were looking ahead. Maybe they thought, hey, we can beat the hell out of these guys. They play in the Big 12. They've played in, I think, 10 one-possession games this year, and they won them all. They didn't look prepared. And it seems like, unfortunately, that's a trend.
Yeah, I think sometimes, too, with that long layoff, where I think sometimes coaches, they just overthink things. They think, oh, well, if we stick with what we do best, we can't. But, they over-prepare, they overthink. They do try to put in too many new wrinkles, maybe. I don't that I can think of, that where it's kids aren't, it's some tougher, more difficult concepts where I think you need to go simpler with in these bigger games, where you just play fast, you focus on what you do, like what we talked about is just do what you do best, go, and when you know what you're going to do and you know where a guy's going to be or where you have to be, and you have the defense or offense guessing, that you gain an advantage because you're just faster and you're quicker where your brain's going. And then, if you bring in these new wrinkles and a bunch of different things schematically, where it's kids are, they're sitting there thinking, do I do this? Where you're second guessing yourself, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, Michigan has not done well. Even this is before Harbaugh, where they've really struggled after bowls. You go look up Bo Schembechler, he's got a sub 500 bowl record. I don't know, maybe it's because that Ohio State, and for the longest time, where beating Ohio State and then winning the Big Ten championship are the two biggest objectives on your goal sheet, that you're just almost too worn out by the end of it. That's kind of what I'm thinking of, maybe. And when I read Bo Schembechler's autobiography, he talked about it, where it was I know I don't have the best bowl record, and I think it's possibly because they've put so much into beating Ohio State and winning the Big Ten championship. And right now, at this point, if we want to go, the mirror positivity here is Michigan's going to bring back their quarterback. JJ is going to have an entire spring ball to throw with the receivers, because he was out last year in spring because of a shoulder injury. Donovan Edwards is going to be back. I don't particularly believe this, but there's been some steam of Blake Corum possibly returning.
Oh,
I don't think that's going to happen, but him back. They're bringing.
If that did.
What's that?
You'd have to wonder if Edwards would even stay if Corum came back.
Oh yeah, I think he would.
I
don't see why he wouldn't.
I'm just curious.
Today's portal era, I don't know if he would.
And with these running backs, if you're Blake Corum, you had a great year, maybe one of the best years in Michigan history. Coming back to Michigan, how is that going to help you in the NFL standpoint? Go and get your bread. Go get your money.
Exactly.
And you can always come back to Michigan and be a legend in Ann Arbor if football doesn't work out in the NFL. You just walk anywhere in Ann Arbor and say, "Hey, I'm Blake Corum," and they're going to be throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars at you. So, and especially now coming off this knee injury, why come back to Michigan and have another 300 carries? Just go to the pros, get your bag, and start building generational wealth.
Yeah, and they've got a good recruit that they're pretty high on coming in Cole Cabana, and then CJ Stokes. He'll have a off season to get bigger, learn the playbook, have a full spring ball. The offensive line, they're going to lose a couple of guys. They'll lose Oluwatimi, but they've had some really nice plugins with the transfer portal. And, Colson Loveland will be back. They got a tight end from Indiana through the transfer portal. The cupboard's definitely not bare. And, this team will be back, and I would expect them to be, you could probably say they might be the favorite in the Big Ten going into the year just based on who they return with a returning quarterback, because Ohio State, Stroud is probably gone. Sean Clifford is gone. And the rest of the Big Ten is still, as from a talent level, is still pretty far behind those three teams, I would say.
Don't hate on Athens.
Okay.
The Greek Freak is coming.
I think there's only one Greek Freak, and in all seriousness, we need to respect Giannis.
Yeah. He plays in Milwaukee.
I know Milwaukee's an absolute shithole.
Fine, we'll call him AK8.
That's fair. Yeah, but the Greek Freak is reserved for one person and one person only, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo there in Milwaukee.
He's also been called the Greek Rifle. Is another one people have called him.
Okay, that's fair. I can get on board with that. But like I said, the Greek Freak is reserved for one guy, and his name is Giannis.
I suppose you're right. Oof.
So, but you guys got anything else on the Michigan TCU game?
I just thought Michigan wasn't ready for TCU's quickness on the defensive line. I don't think they were expecting that. Your center struggled so bad versus them. I don't know what it was, whether he just wasn't expecting it, wasn't prepared for it, or what. But I thought the center was brutal.
But yeah, and that was the worst game he's played all year, and he was the top center in the country this year. And just picked the bad day to have his worst day of the year.
Let's call a spade a spade. Let's be real.
I'm saying that Oluwatimi won the best center in the nation award, though. I don't care.
But
I don't care.
No, guys, I think let's not forget. TCU, they play that 3-3-5 defense, and ever since Matt Campbell's got to Iowa State, that seems like that whole conference is implementing that, and that's a tough defensive front to take on if you haven't seen it with those live bullets. Because to Ethan's point, those defensive linemen and those linebackers, they're so quick, and you can do so many different games. With that scheme, as offensive linemen, they start to overthink. They're like, hey, when we practice this redshirt freshman walk on, his card said he did this, but the guy across from me in the TCU uniform, he did something else, and I'm not ready for this. So, Ethan, TCU, they did a good job because they schemed it up, because that 3-3-5 is tough to face. The nose can go one way. You have stack linebacker positions where, these Michigan guards, you have to block someone in space. And they're necessarily not used to that. They're used to hitting someone in a phone booth, and sometimes that can take a while to get used to. And when Michigan seemed like they were kind of getting it down and they knew where guys were going to be, it was too late, and they had to throw it all the time. And they couldn't establish that running game like what they have all year. So just in that aspect, credit to CCU's defensive coaching staff, because they used that 3-3-5 to their advantage, and it helped them get a big lead.
Yeah, and Michigan. The last thing I say before we move on, credit to Michigan, because where they got down 3 scores would have been easy for them to just kind of throw in the towel. Where previous years it would have felt like that, and they didn't necessarily have the quick strike ability that they had this year with JJ McCarthy. It was credit to Michigan where they at least made it a game. They gave themselves a chance to win at the end, and even in the end they just fell short. I guess it was closer than last year, and maybe third time's the charm. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, your point, Dylan, because this year at least people weren't saying after that game, did they deserve to be here? Like what people said last year.
Oh, well, Ohio State would have given Georgia a much better game. Well, Ohio State had their chance last year, and they got ran off the field. So this is, another credit to TCU, where people were saying, did they deserve to be here? Yeah, they deserve to be here. Yes, would they have been an underdog against Alabama? Probably, but at some point, on-field results have to matter, and TCU was one of the best teams all year, and now they're playing for a national title. I don't like it, but it is what it is. That's life. Just wasn't Michigan's day.
Well, when you win all the one-possession games like TCU won this year, you're making winning plays.
Yep. And so I suppose let's go down to the Peach State and the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, where Georgia beat Ohio State 42-41. And we talked about it in our last week's episode that if Ohio State wanted a shot to win this game, CJ Stroud was going to have to let his inner Brian out. Well, you know what? I'll tip my cap to CJ. He did let his inner Brian out. He played well. He gave them a shot to win. It was an incredible game. Ohio State found themselves up, and it felt like I was going to be just an awful, awful championship game between Ohio State, TCU, and I would have had to accept the fact that Michigan blew out Ohio State on their field, and then Ohio State gets a third base national title. And it just would have been terrible. And I was sitting there thinking, this cannot happen. Ohio State cannot win. Please don't let Ohio State win. And when the game hung in the balance, Georgia's quarterback, Stetson Bennett, made clutch play after clutch play. The Ohio State's jockstrap is still on the 40-yard line at the Peach Bowl, or at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And then the throw he made to, I wasn't even sure. I was actually walking into a bar off the party bus when he threw that go-ahead touchdown. So I got to watch the last 50 seconds, and I'm watching them drive down, Ohio State drive down, and they get into field goal range after a incredible CJ Stroud run, probably his longest run of the game. And they just got too conservative. And I don't understand why, because they still had a couple of timeouts where, there was an almost sack on third down where that would have completely taken them out of field goal range, and they would have had to try a Hail Mary, and then the play before that, I didn't understand why they wouldn't try to run like a QB power, a play that they have had success on before, to get a little bit closer, make it a little bit manageable. And when I saw Ruggles lining up and I couldn't quite tell of how far it was going to be, and I see 50 yards, I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better about this, because it doesn't matter if you're a professional or in college. A 50-yard kick is a long kick, and it is, unless your name's Justin Tucker, it's not a guarantee.
Not a guarantee.
And he was not close. And I was jumping up and down, excited, like, yes, thank you, there is a God. He doesn't completely hate my guts. And Georgia saved it, and it was a glorious day, and that is why I am wearing a Georgia shirt today.
When the hell did you get a Georgia shirt?
I'm trying to think. When did I get this?
Probably like 3 days ago.
No.
Yeah, what did it ship?
No.
Did it come to your house on just the 30th?
Did not. It did not. I've had it for a few years.
That's the first.
Oh, I know when I got this. So I was when the Netflix series QB1 was streaming in the first season when they had Jake Fromm. I really liked him, and I thought he was going to be a stud. That was when I bought the shirt, because I liked Jake Fromm, and
So it's your
that's why
fault
I
he
bought
sucked.
it. He played in the NFL, doing better than us.
Eh,
Yeah, he's doing better than us.
we don't know what he's up to now, though. He's still in the NFL.
Well,
Yeah,
he's not.
I think he plays for. I think he's on the Giants practice squad.
Okay, he's doing great. He holds a clipboard he gets paid $600,000. Good for him.
Yeah, so he's not taking the physical abuse. He makes a bunch more money than we do. Unfortunately, he has to live in New Jersey / New York. That sounds awful.
Oh, actually, no. He is plays for the Commanders.
Oh, well, that's rather unfortunate.
He's on their practice squad.
Back up here pretty quick, so you know what? Good for him.
But yeah, he's clearly doing better than us, and that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to admit it.
Nope.
but anyways, back to the game.
But dude, what about the best timeout call
Yes,
in college?
absolutely.
That was crazy.
And I mean, Kirby Smart's going to get the credit for it, but no, that's bullshit. That's the coaches upstairs.
Yep.
That's the special teams, your quality control coach. Hell, maybe your offensive coordinator upstairs getting down saying, hey, Kirby, take this timeout. This formation's not right. Timeout. Because that first down was had.
Oh, yeah. Well, they ran it, and he had it.
Yeah. That first down was had. That game was over, and Ohio State was going to advance.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, and then I got to talking about that last drive, so I completely just skipped over that, but I figured one of you two were going to bring it up. So, but yeah, that was incredibly smart, on your toes, like just quick to even just get it, because who knows, that's such a 50-50 thing of like if you're even going to get it, because that was like right before that ball was snapped.
Well, and I guess, though, like they said in the broadcast, when these coaches go to officials and they call for a timeout, if they hear it before the play is snapped, even if it takes him a second to get that whistle in his mouth and blow the play dead, he gets that timeout. So he saved Georgia's team and Georgia's season by just probably a matter of mere seconds.
Yeah.
But then also, when Stetson Bennett needed to be big time in the fourth quarter, guys, he was 10 of 12, I think, for like 193 yards and 2 tutties. So,
something like that, yeah.
He shook off some early game struggles, with that bad interception he had. And even on the first drive of the game, on that third down run, he pulled the ball from his running back. He gives that to his running back. He walks into the end zone. Stetson was out of character in this game too early, but he was able to keep his composure and calm down and make plays when he needed to in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and they didn't panic. Go ahead, E.
You mentioned how good Stroud played. Honestly, that might have been his best game he's ever played,
Period.
regardless of this year, last year, ever. His pocket presence was absolutely unbelievable.
And Ohio State fans have to be thinking this. Where were his legs the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was this?
Like, he was already obviously
They were saving it for this one.
I get. He's already a top 10 pick. Whoever gets the number 2 pick, the Bears are going to get an absolute ransom for them to go get Stroud. Like, they're going to get ridiculous.
Well, did you guys see that if the Bears lose this weekend, there's a chance they get the first pick?
They're going to get like 6
What if
first round
Houston?
picks for Bryce Young.
If Houston wins or something?
Well, here Houston has that tie, so that'd be 3-13-1. The Bears would be 3-14.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And all of a sudden, Justin Fields has a bad hip this week?
I don't see there's any way that this goes wrong for Minnesota.
It's Minnesota. Something will go
And
wrong.
and they're playing, of all quarterbacks, Nathan Peterman.
The neck. He's going to get him. Oh, wait. No, that's Mike Glennon. Nathan Peterman.
Well, he might be playing for the Dolphins now.
Oh, dear God. They're screwed. But also, guys, back to this game. Ohio State, they have to sit back and be thinking about this. This is the game about, like, what could have been. You don't have Travion Henderson before the game. Marvin Harrison has to sit out after taking a shot in the end zone.
Cheap shot at that.
That didn't look a cheap shot to me. That just looked like
I didn't think so either.
Playing the ball. That's football. It's a physical, nasty game, and people get hurt.
I was just kidding.
That's a football play.
But yeah, but when you see it live, Ethan, holy shit, you're thinking that's a dirty play. He took his head off.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, he landed his shoulder.
Yeah. And then was it Stover, the tight end, who fell and
Yep.
had to go to the hospital? That had to be a kidney, right? Right, guys? When you fall on your hip like that and you have to go to the hospital?
I think so. It has
something like that. I don't know.
Lower left back.
Yeah, but yeah, Ohio State, just with the amount of injuries that they had and to be this close, they're going to be thinking about what could have been for a long time had some of these guys not gotten hurt. But unfortunately, it's part of the game. There's, it's hearsay, and it's fun things for us to speculate and talk about, but that's not, no one's going to feel bad for Ohio State because they had injuries.
Yeah.
It's the way it goes, the way the game is played.
Because Washington went out early for Georgia too.
Yep.
So it's
this late in the season. You're going to have injuries.
Nolan Smith had a torn pec and hasn't played since the Vanderbilt game for Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And without him, Jalen Carter's a one-man show, and that Georgia defense does not have as good as the pass rush. So that that'll be interesting to see.
Wasn't that the wide receiver's first game back too?
Yeah, since like week 2.
Yeah.
Was it McIntosh?
No, not McIntosh. That was number 6. This is the other guy.
Well, I thought that was his first game back since week 2.
Because the guy that caught the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah,
you're talking. Well, because they said that was that he's had like one other touchdown in his career, and it was in the national championship game last year, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was Adonai Mitchell. That's who caught the game winner. And then Arian Smith had the 76-yarder. But the other part too of it is that Kirby, where it felt like when they were down, I think it was 38-24 with like 8 minutes left.
He kicked the field goal.
Credit to him to kicking the field goal where it was and they converted a 4th down the play before, or earlier on that drive with Bowers, and I was part where I was on a bus, so my phone was loading, so we were leaving right as it was 4th down, and I didn't know what they were going to do. And I finally was able to get my phone pulled up and be able to watch it, and they were reviewing it. And the other part, too, that sucked about, like, watching it on my phone and being in a bar is I didn't get to hear the broadcast at all, so I had no idea what was going on.
Oh, yeah, with the because, the whole play is when Bowers was on the sideline, and the ball is clearly behind the sticks, but he's in the air. And, that weird caveat with the rule, since his left hand was on the ground, he's still technically in bounds. So then when he's falling forward and his hand is off the ground, then the ball is past the first down marker and it's a first down.
To me, that makes no sense though, because if you go
I'm right there with you.
Touchdown, you know.
I'll just say this because I saw it on saw it on my phone, and just watching it on my phone, it looked like a first down to me. So I'm just gonna roll with it that it was a first down.
If they said he was a touchdown, that's not a touchdown because the ball's outside the pylon. So I just don't get why it's a first down.
It's football. First downs and touchdowns, catches in play, catches in the end zones don't make any sense.
No one knows.
Nobody knows a damn thing.
No,
they say if we roll a 6, it's a touchdown. If we roll anything else, it's nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, and then Ohio State for like the first time it seemed like all year was consistently able to get their ground game going. And I remember Ethan saying this, and I think he's probably right. Would have been 9 times out of 10 had the way this game played. When Ohio State got their running game going, you're thinking no one's stopping these guys.
Yeah,
and to do it without Travion Henderson too, it's like no one's stopping these guys.
And Mayan Williams didn't play a lot either, though. Did he? And so they were with it was Dallin Hayden, the true freshman out of Memphis, and then Arizona State transfer, who I can't think of the guy's name, but and then CJ was also effective with his legs. I'm looking up here what his total rushing
close
was.
to 60.
I bet you it's 60 or 70 yards.
65. I'll say.
It was 12 rushes, 34 yards.
Some of that sacks.
A long of 27, but I think some of it had to be with like sacks because he took a decent amount of sacks
and they were sacks where he lost like 12 yards at a time.
Yeah, there was a couple big ones.
So let's see here. I don't know if it'll show. Well, he was sacked 4 times.
How many yards did it say?
It doesn't say yards.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, because there's quite a few that I'm thinking of where it was 8 to 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was, he probably that's obviously his net rushing, but I bet you if you take away the sacks, it was probably closer to 70, 80 almost, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. And then also, another person you got to give good credit to is Ryan Day.
Yeah, he had those guys ready to play.
They were ready to play. He took an absolute pounding these last 5 weeks, but he didn't let the white noise from the media affect him, and his team was ready to play. And he did his job, and they tried to put him in the best way possible, to win this game, and it didn't work out. But they looked prepared, and they weren't scared. Playing. I think some people probably thought before, maybe including me, that Ohio State's going to go down. They're in Georgia's backyard defending national champs. The big bad Bulldogs. This isn't Ohio State's identity. They're going to be a little scared to play them, and they're going to get their ass kicked. But they were ready to play. They weren't scared, and they're probably one injury away, or maybe a different 2 play calls there at the end of the game from playing the national championship.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and he had sacks of 10 yards and 9 yards.
18. So there's 56 right there.
Mm-hmm.
10 yards, 9 yards. 5 yards, so 24. And this is great radio, by the way.
Hey, we're figuring it out. We're doing math.
So we're at 64 yards right now?
I think so.
Yeah. Minus the sacks.
And
while he's counting
12 yards.
12 yards. Okay, so you had 76?
76.
Roughly?
76, yeah. So, yeah, give or take. But, so go ahead.
Grant, I was just going to say, while Dylan was doing the math, 2 of our Final Four teams are matching up tonight, and it's been a great game so far.
Who we got again? Who's it?
TCU and Baylor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great game so far.
That'd be quite the year for TCU. national championship and a Final Four appearance. That's
12-1 right now.
things are good in Fort Worth.
Isn't Oklahoma the only team to have a Final Four team in the college football playoff in basketball in the same year so far, if I'm not mistaken?
So far, I mean, Florida had the
in
national
16.
title in both.
Yeah, but I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm saying like the
Except
same
just
year.
college football playoff, yeah.
Yeah, college football playoff and Final Four.
Yeah, because that would have been 16 or the 15, 16, and then Oklahoma with Buddy Hield.
Yeah, I know Baylor. They did it reverse where they won the national championship. Oh, I know the football team. They didn't make it. Never mind. They just won.
They've never made it. Yeah.
Yeah, they just won the Big 12.
Yeah.
But suppose we'll preview the national title game a little bit down the road here. We're gonna go up to the NFL. We're gonna go over some playoff scenarios right now to win the AFC South. It is Jags Titans on Saturday. Jags, whoever wins, they're in. There is a scenario where the Jags can lose and still get in. They need the Dolphins, Patriots, and Steelers to all lose for that to happen.
What in the hell? Or is that just everyone?
They'd all be 8-9.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
What a shit show.
Some of these scenarios are just absolutely wild.
Yes, so I'll go over them, and then for the AFC North, Bengals, Ravens, whoever wins, both teams are in. They're just playing for a seed.
They're playing for a home game, and probably a chance to play the Chargers.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Call me crazy here. I'm pumping the brakes on this real quick. Would I almost wait for it, folks? Rather lose that game and then have to play Jacksonville on the road?
They're playing really
Even though I don't know if you'd want to play Jacksonville on the road, because that place, when they are good, they get rowdy. That's pool true. Will be filled up. It's going to be hot.
Oh, it's going to be hot.
That offense is starting to click a little.
And Trevor Lawrence in a big game, that I've seen it enough times. That dude shows out.
He's usually pretty good.
Yep.
And, their defense is flying around right now, too.
Yeah.
And, Dougie P could have benched some starters last week and said, no, this game don't matter. But he gave the Texans everything they could handle.
He took everyone out.
That was a good win for them, where they just went on the road, going into it again, did what they should have against a lesser opponent and just humiliated them.
I understand Houston's like 2-13-1 on the year, but anytime you go on the road in the NFL and put up 31, 34 points and only give up 3, you're doing something right.
It was like 21-0 at half or something, and it wasn't close.
Do you guys want to hear the scenario for the 7th wild card for each team that's stupid. In the running?
I need it all. My brain confused.
Okay, so we'll start with which we already covered the Jaguars for the 7th seed. Who of the 3 teams do you guys want next? Patriots? Dolphins? Actually, you know what? No, you know what? We're going to go Steelers because I don't think I named the episode, but we named this is episode 58. So it is the Jack Lambert and Derek Thomas episode.
Shout out to Derek Thomas.
Honorable mention Von Miller.
58's a good number. Good NFL number.
It's a very underrated number. Do you guys know who Jack Lambert is?
Well, duh.
Okay. Yeah, Ethan, do you?
I honestly have no idea.
He was a linebacker for the Steelers. Was missing. Just look the guy up, and you'll understand why we named the episode after him. So the Steelers, which great job by Mike Tomlin. That throw Kenny Pickett made on Sunday night was an incredible throw. That is an NFL throw, and that's why they drafted him. Because when he threw that, Najee Harris wasn't open. But by the time the ball got there, he was open. Steelers won. And now Mike Tomlin's got a chance. If they beat the Browns, he's still never going to have a losing season in the NFL.
That's incredible.
And they seem to like the direction they're going with Kenny Pickett. I still think defense outside of the pass rush needs a lot of help. I still got to work on that offensive line, but that's an off-season podcast where we'll figure out the Steelers struggles. Maybe Mike Zier will come back on and discuss the Steelers with us because he's a Steelers fan. But so the Steelers, they have to beat the Browns. They need the Dolphins to lose and the Patriots to lose.
Okay.
The Dolphins, they need to win. They need to beat the Jets and the Patriots to lose. Doesn't matter what the Steelers do because the Dolphins have the head-to-head.
One question on the Dolphins. Who's their quarterback?
Yes. It'll be Skylar Thompson and Mike Glennon.
Oh, boy.
To be honest, Skylar Thompson hasn't been terrible.
No, he hasn't.
He hasn't? No.
And who do the Dolphins play?
Their offensive line and the play calling has not helped them out at all.
Mike McDaniel is...
And wasn't he their the running game czar in San Francisco, the quote-unquote running game czar?
Well, yeah, he put it together. He didn't call plays, though.
Yeah.
But allegedly his title was, offensive coordinator / running game coordinator.
Well, if he runs the ball,
I'll say this. He's done a better job than Nathaniel Hackett. So
he's got that going for him.
The bar was pretty low with him.
Also true. And then the Patriots, they have to beat the Bills. They have to beat the Bills or the Dolphins have to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back up. So they win versus Bills.
They're in.
So they win it in. That's the clearest route.
Okay.
If they don't win, they need the Dolphins to lose, Steelers to lose, and the Jaguars to win.
Okay, so here's my question. What happens if the Jaguars lose, the Patriots lose? Well, I guess if they all lose, the Patriots would keep it.
No, so if the Patriots, Dolphins, Steelers,
and Jags lose,
the Jags would be in.
Oh, that's right.
Because that was the first scenario I said is that the Jaguars get in if they lose versus the Titans and a loss by the Dolphins, Patriots, and Steelers. This league, baby.
That's just absolutely dookie.
You know what? I'm here for it. I hope it happens.
So there's going to be absolutely utter chaos this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. So what do you guys think happens? What are your brain biscuits turning up in your heads of yours? What's going to happen? What do you guys think happens? I think the Jags beat the Titans. The Titans are just way too beat up. It sounds like Derrick Henry's going to play. I think.
Well, yeah, but they're starting Joshua Dobbs at quarterback.
That's why I think the Jags win. We also probably shouldn't underestimate Mike Vrabel, but
the problem is
they're almost too beat up, and I think it's too much to overcome. So Jags win. Jags are the 4 seed, right?
Yes.
Bengals, Ravens. It doesn't sound like Lamar's playing. I don't know if he's even practiced yet.
I think the Bengals are going to come out a little sluggish just because what they saw on Monday night, but the Bengals win.
Yes, and that game, that's an 11 o'clock game. That game's at home as well.
Yeah.
Skyline chili will be flowing.
They lost earlier this year in Baltimore, too.
Yeah, I think, and the Bengals are playing really, really well, too.
Oh, yeah, they're hot.
That's another part of it. The Ravens have kind of limped their way in. They haven't, they might be like the most under-the-radar playoff team where they've just kind of chugged along throughout the year and, oh, hey, we clinched last week.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like almost. I don't know if you guys feel the same way about them, but
the Ravens are kind of forgotten about. And I think that
they're just always hurt.
That's the problem. And Lamar unfortunately misses the last 4 games of each season.
Yeah.
With either, a bone bruise or a sprained knee like he has this year.
So
it's true.
So yeah, I think the Bengals win.
Okay. I think so. Now we get the wild card. Patriots, they play the Bills, and I know the Bills. They were back at work today. I know there wasn't much. It was basically meetings and a walkthrough. I'm sure they're still all shook up. That game
It's in Buffalo.
is in Buffalo, so I bet you that crowd is going to be rallying behind them. That's going to be a tough one, I think, for the Patriots. I'll say they lose.
Patriots are done.
Yep. The Dolphins play the Jets. I don't know who's playing quarterback for either team. Whoever it is it going to be their starter at the start of the year next year? Because Tua's not playing. Teddy's out. Skylar Thompson is a rookie. And Mike Glennon, that guy hasn't won a game, and he's 0-10. Probably hasn't won a game since 2002.
His last start at North Carolina State.
Yeah. And then I think I've talked myself into it. I think the Steelers are going to be get that 7 seed.
I don't know. I don't care who the Jets put on the field at quarterback. I don't think it's better than anything the Dolphins are going to put out there.
Yeah. You know what, Ethan? I think the Dolphins sneak in.
No, yep. I think the Dolphins win because, to Ethan's point, Skylar Thompson has been playing well, and it's a win or go home. And I think Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Jeff Wilson are going to have something to say about this.
All due respect to former Gopher great Chris Streveler, if he's the best quarterback the Jets can put on the field, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're screwed if that's the point. Yeah. Well, is Mike White not playing?
He's back.
He's back. But he's still. I mean,
his shelf life is about 5 to 6 games. It's very similar to
Taylor Heineke.
Like a Taylor Heineke. Yeah, exactly. Like these guys are nice backups, and they can get you out of a jam. They're middle relief pitchers that they're basically are glorified starters in the playoffs, where they'll pitch 5 or 6 innings.
Or when Ethan calls it a bullpen game, you have that guy come out.
Yep. That's who those guys are. Nothing wrong with it. And you know what? They're going to win they've made a hell of a lot of money.
They're guys you want to have in your facility.
Yep.
Because they're good backups. Your teammates, the whole team loves them, and the coaching staff loves them. They're going to prepare like they're starting. And when you're sitting in the sauna or the steam room afterwards, and you're hanging out with those guys, yeah, you want them in there. You want to have a beer with them, but they're not franchise guys.
Yeah, for sure. So
I think the Dolphins wiggle worm their way in.
I would agree. And let's go to the NFC scenarios. So this one, it's not as the wild card. It's a lot more straightforward, kind of. But so the NFC scenarios, the 1 seed. We'll go over the 1 seed. The Eagles, they clinched the 1 seed with a winner tie versus the Giants. Which, congratulations to the Giants. Brian Daboll is hands down a Coach of the Year candidate for sure. I mean, he made Daniel Jones look competent. Just an outstanding job by him. Giants are they're back in the playoffs since
the boat.
Well, yeah. Hopefully they all don't go down to Miami for a few days, like the last time. And so the Eagles will win with a winner tie, or the 1 seed with a winner tie versus the Giants, a Cowboys loss, or a 49ers loss. The 49ers get the 1 seed if they beat the Cardinals and the Eagles lose. And the Cowboys, there's still hope. So they won last week. So if we're on the roller coaster, they're still winning the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Help me out here, guys.
That's okay. Of said ride. You're on your way up to the apex.
That's my jean short, New Balance, Des Bryant, old school Cowboys jersey,
the faded
alter
haircut.
ego. Yeah. That's like my stereotypical Cowboys fan.
It's the starter.
That's where we're going to we them boys, and we're going to the Super Bowl, right?
It's the Cowboys starter pack.
Okay, so we're still on that. So they can get the 1 seed if they beat the Commanders, and the Eagles lose, and a 49ers loss or tie.
ESPN says it's a 2% chance the Cowboys get the number 1 seed. So you're saying there's a chance?
I gotta get that. Get that for a button.
Yep.
Uh,
Well, can I answer this question in terms of the
yes.
seed? It's gonna be the Philadelphia Eagles.
I would agree with you. That game's in.
It's in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And they're playing a team who's locked in as the 6th seed. I'm not saying they're gonna take their guys off and they're not gonna start anyone, because Brian Daboll might as well, kind of just like a Dougie P last week, keep these guys going and try to get the good mojo going. But I think Jalen Hurts is coming back, and Jalen
Yes.
tossed this Giants secondary a couple weeks ago, absolutely cooked them. And I think the Eagles are going to be pissed off after losing 2 games in a row. I think Jalen comes back, calms the nerves. Eagles get the 1.
Okay. That's settled. The NFC East can be won with the Eagles win or the Cowboys lose. And for the Cowboys to win the East, it's just vice versa. Cowboys win, Eagles lose. So now this is where it gets fun, boys. The number 7 wild card. This is between 3 teams again. Well, no, the AFC was 4. Never mind. So Packers, most straightforward, easiest, win it in. The Lions can get in if they beat the Packers, Seattle loses or ties, or they can tie the Packers and the Rams and Seahawks tie, and the Commanders beat the Cowboys. That's how the Lions get in.
That's going to the Commanders beating the Cowboys, who mathematically never mind.
I don't know. I found it on the internet. I found it on CBS. It looked like a legit website. So, you know what? I went with it. I'm not sure what that has to do with any of it.
Some weird tiebreaker or something between.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Whatever.
So.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And Seattle gets in if they beat the Rams and a Packers loss or tie.
To the Lions?
Or they tie the Rams and the Lions and Packers tie, and the Commanders lose or tie versus the Cowboys.
What is going on? That is so much to digest. I don't know what to say.
I think I figured out the whole both. If the Packers, Lions, and the Seahawks, Rams tie, why Washington comes into it. It's got to be something, because all 3 of those teams would be tied. It has to be something with conference record at that point.
Could be.
Maybe they all played the Commanders.
Well, the Packers lost to them,
and the Lions beat them.
The Lions beat them. Yep. And then Seattle beat the Lions.
Okay, yeah. So like
I don't know, and I don't know if Seattle and the Commanders. I don't know if Seattle and the Commanders played though.
I don't think they did, but to Ethan's point, it all comes down to record and conference.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Still have no idea why that tie for whatever it is in there.
Yeah, that's just straight dookie.
No idea.
I am not seeing Seattle. Yeah, Commanders and Seattle did not play this year.
But no, so I think it's going to come down to Sunday night. It's going to come down to Seahawks and Packers, because I think the Seahawks beat the Rams pretty easily.
That game is in Seattle. So
yeah, the 12
CenturyLink's going to be going bonkers.
The 12s are going to be fired up. The Rams, it's a lost year. With all these injuries and just, being shitty as the defending champs. They got their flights to Cabo booked. So I'm going to say the Seahawks win that. And I saw a stat today, guys, that Aaron Rodgers is 4-0 in playoff games where he needs a win in the last week of the regular season to get in. And I think we're going to make it 5-0 on Sunday.
Yeah.
But then,
we did say this though. We did after Hard Knocks and the Lions concluded. They did say this that they would knock a team out of the playoff. Is this the game? This is if you're the Lions and you're looking at this, this is the game that you're looking at and saying this is where we really can say we as a franchise we've turned that corner of we aren't the lovable loser Lions that we've been for the last since Barry Sanders was there.
True.
You know,
I think
they win and I think if Seattle wins in that afternoon game, I think that might even be a more dangerous Lions team because they have nothing to play for. They're going to be throwing the kitchen sink. And, I mean,
they're Super Bowl.
Joe Barry is still the D coordinator for the Packers. He's bound to screw. I think if you're the D coordinator for the Packers, your job is to just screw shit up.
It's part of the job description.
Exactly. And their special teams is still they've been better, but they still have a lot of gas. They had a block punt last week against the Vikings, and we won't discuss that game at all because there was nothing to discuss other than the block punt.
That was
the Packers
game.
The Packers play action pass or defense just still sucks, and that's literally what the Lions absolutely excel at. Like that is 100%
that's where Jared Goff
the best in the league.
And Jared Goff, I believe, is 4-1 against the Packers lifetime.
Honestly, I think the Packers are going to lose, and a lot of it's going to be those two rookie DNs. They're going to create havoc.
So the Lions will play spoilers, according to you guys, on Sunday in Lambeau.
Yeah,
I haven't said that yet.
Okay,
but you know, I'm not going to be sad if the Cowboys, if Aaron Rodgers is not in the playoffs.
Well, why?
Or the Packers at all?
If he gets in, he's going to have to play the Niners and lose to them in the playoffs again.
This is also true, but just when the Pack, they're so much better when Packer fans are quiet and they have nothing to say.
Well,
and they're not in the playoffs.
They can just go back to their Velveeta bath they were taking.
Yeah, exactly. Or their local creamery because they're not that special.
Well, yeah, where they only make $45,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I hope the Lions get in. I think that would be fun to see. I think it would be absolutely electric at some point if they were ever to win the North and get a home game because the roof.
They might burn Ford Field down.
That place was nuts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I guess we'll just find out and see what happens. And we've got 2 games left to recap, and we're gonna start with a game that's going to be played on Sunday, the FCS national title game between NDSU and South Dakota State. Game's at 12 Mountain Time on ABC. So this game is going to be nationally televised.
Sunday?
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
Yep. There was an opening slot on ABC that day, so they decided, you know what, why not put it on national television? South Dakota State's 5-point favorites. They played once earlier this year. NDSU blew a 21-7 lead. This is going to be first championship matchup between the two. They've met 4 times in the playoffs before. NDSU's won all 4. And this is a game, I think, if you're looking at it offensively, Cam Miller against Incarnate Word did not play his best game, have his best game throwing the ball, 1 for 12, missed high on a lot of passes.
1 for 12?
That ain't going to cut it. You're not beating South Dakota State.
Awful.
You're not going to beat South Dakota State if you go 1 for 12. I think Cam knows that. He's got to be the best quarterback on the field. He has to have the best game of his career, for sure. South Dakota State, their defense has been really good. I think NDSU, they're going to have to get some explosive plays. And I've already recorded this, but we did a special preview episode that's going to be dropping on the 7th with the Benchwarmers host and owner of Big Deck Barbecue, Zach Willis. So that'll be released on Saturday before the game, so stay tuned for that. But they're going to need an explosive play. They're going to need like a 50-plus yard TD at some point. I don't think they're going to be able to consistently go and drive down and get sustained drives against a good South Dakota State defense. And when they do get down into the red zone, they have to finish with touchdowns. Field goals are not going to cut it. They're going to have to find ways to get in the end zone, which they've in championship games. That's what they've been able to do, is they've been able to find ways to get into the end zone instead of settling for field goals. Defensively, they have to contain Isaiah Davis. Big thing is, I think he's going to get yards. They just can't let his runs, his big runs, become big runs. Keep that. A 10-yard gain isn't the worst. If they're able to limit him to that, I think they're going to set themselves up for a shot to win. Another one is Gronowski, who's they've seen an uptick using his legs more in the running game as he's gotten healthier as the year's gone on. Be alert for that, and also try to limit that and don't let him keep him in the pocket, get pressure on him. Don't let him get out and extend plays, which is going to leave open guys like the Yankee twins and Tucker Kraft who can get open, who are very good receivers. And then they have to get pressure. They're going to need 3+ sacks, force at least a couple of turnovers to have a shot, steal a couple of possessions if you're NDSU on defense. Be alert for some trick plays, because that's versus NDSU. That seems to be when South Dakota State likes to pull out those trick plays. And then finally, like I said, on the offensive end of the ball for NDSU on the defensive side, find ways to bow up and make South Dakota State kick field goals in the red zone. Because field goals aren't going to beat you. If NDSU is able to hold them to field goals, they're going to have a shot. It's going to be their toughest battle. It's going to be the best team they've faced in the 10 years in Frisco, considering all the injuries, the talent on South Dakota State. It's going to be an uphill battle. And I think if you're NDSU, you're playing with house money. You embrace the underdog role, which I think is the most dangerous. NDSU team is a team that thinks they're not getting respected. They feel like the underdog, like they have nothing to lose. And they've got a shot to avenge a loss from a game that they felt like they probably lost more than South Dakota State won.
I'm going to say, I've said all year South Dakota State's the best team in the country. I still believe that. Honestly, I could think you can make an argument saying NDSU's a little lucky they're here after a couple calls late in that game went NDSU's way. But I just think SDSU's better. I think they're going to run on them. I don't think NDSU's quarterback will be able to get those passes. I don't think he'll go 1 for 12, but Cam Miller is not a good quarterback. And I don't think he's going to be good enough to beat South Dakota State as he wasn't good enough the first time either, and that was at home.
Good. I'm glad. That's good. You think that.
I mean, I'm not wrong.
I'm not saying you are. I'm glad that you're picking South Dakota State. That's good. But, that's also, there is a rule that you should never go against. And Grant knows this rule. It's from The Godfather. It's you never go against family.
Well, and with that logic, Ethan doesn't view Dylan as family, and that's fine.
Yep.
I guess so.
I'm not here to tell people who's family and who's not family, but I will say this: if NDSU wants to win this game, they can't miss tackles, and like you said, Dylan, they can't turn the ball over, because the first time that they're underdogs, and on paper, they're not the best team in this game. So they got to play clean, and they got to play mistake free, and if they don't, it's probably going to be the first loss in a title game, that they've had. So it'll be interesting, but I'm just kind of glad to finally see that this is an actual title game, because this is the game that the FCS needs if they want to push their brand, because you're going to have probably two of the top 4 or 5 fan bases out there. You might actually get some more people to watch on TV now with the ratings. So it's just, all in all, it's good for the sport. to have.
They might have more. They might have more viewers in the Rose Bowl.
It could. I mean, the Rose Bowl this year, it seems very much like a dud.
It was the lowest rated Rose Bowl ever. Only 10 million people watched.
That doesn't surprise me. It just seemed like just a real dud of a game.
Wow, especially once Rising went out.
Yeah, and maybe even before that, the fact that it wasn't on New Year's Day.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah, something just didn't feel right about that.
But back to the Bison game.
Yeah, like I said, they're just gonna have to keep it clean, and if they kind of play with their food like they've done, and some games this year, it's gonna come back to bite them in the ass.
Yeah, there's no bones about it. If NDSU wants to win, they're gonna have to have their best performance of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? We're gonna let the chips fall where they may, and we're gonna find out Sunday what happens. If NDSU wins, I might be very, very insufferable. Just a heads up.
I think I might come down with no technology and my house works, so I don't have to talk to you for about 10 days.
Yeah, no, you couldn't do that.
I
don't even know what the longest we've ever had where we've gone where we haven't talked for.
Like I said I might. I'm not saying I will.
You might.
I'll give you Craig's number. You can text him about it.
I don't know who Craig is.
My dad. Come on, man.
Oh, gotcha. Oh,
the Jack.
Okay.
Come on.
Gotcha. Yeah,
South
okay.
Dakota State.
That sounds. I'm good with that. I forgot your dad went to South Dakota State for a second there, but okay. NDSU, SDSU, 12 p.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. We'll have a preview with Zach out Saturday. That'll be dropping at midnight on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe, like on wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Stay tuned for that. And with that, let's move over to the national title that's going to be played on Monday at SoFi Stadium, which they are not allowing tailgating. Can you believe that?
There's probably no parking lot.
Yeah, it's
no parking.
No.
Stupid.
It is stupid.
And also why we should be playing if a national championship game is in LA, it needs to be in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl.
Not just LA, California.
California, yes.
Yeah.
But this one's at 5:30 Mountain Time on ESPN. Georgia right now is a 12.5-point favorite in this game. I think if you're Georgia and you're looking at this, the secondary has been a disaster their last two games against LSU and against Ohio State. They've got to figure that out. They've got to find a way to keep Quentin Johnson in check. I think you almost bracket him, and you have somebody pointing him out at all times where he is on the field because he's going to be a top 10 pick in this year's draft. The other part too with TCU is Kendre Miller right now. It says he's questionable. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to play. I think if he's able to play, that's where you'll really see TCU's offense take off because with his running game, him and Max Dugan, they're both very effective, and that's really where when they've got the run game going, and it opens up the play action and the passing game so much more, which they want to do. And I think if you're Max Duggan, and if you're TCU, the big thing is similar to what they did against Michigan. Win on first and second down on offense. Stay ahead of the chains. Make it third and manageable. And don't let that pass rush for Georgia where they can just tee off go where it's obvious passing situation. And I think with a strong run game, they're going to be able to do that. And the other part is they have to execute on third down. I think they have to convert at a 50% clip to have a shot to win this. And if you're Max Duggan, you've got to have the game of your life. You have to go Vince Young in 2006, Deshaun Watson in 2016, second half Tua Tagovailoa. You have to have that. You have to have a Vince Young type of moment or a in a sense, a Heisman moment to beat a team like Georgia.
Well, and also, like you said, Georgia's secondary has been suspect, to say the least, in these last couple of games. Well, if Jalen Carter and the rest of that front four can't get after Max and this TCU offensive line, with Sonny Dykes being a disciple of Mike Leach and this air raid offense, they're going to find holes in this defense. They're going to find a matchup they like. They're going to take advantage of it. It could be a long day at the office for Georgia. So then in return, George knows that, and what's Kirby going to try to do? Probably try to do something Michigan didn't do and own the line of scrimmage and try to really slow this 3-3-5 defense down. So I'll be intrigued to see on a short week or, a limited time to prepare, how does Georgia get ready for this front that they haven't seen all year? How much live practices are they doing where they got guys slanting and offensive linemen need to talk and react? Or are they just going to learn on the fly? That'll be something interesting to see if Georgia if they can establish the running game early in this game because they figured out this 3-3-5 defense in this front. And if they can't, TCU is going to hang around in this game. But also for TCU, you can't have your quarterback go 9 of 23 at one point in this title game like he was against Michigan. If you're 9 and 23 against Georgia, it's going to be 27-0.
Yeah, I think another thing too, if you're Georgia, I think it's very important your D line is able to get pressure without blitzing and drop those linebackers back into coverage and really close off those throwing lanes and make it difficult where Dugan, he doesn't have time or he's staying in the pocket where he's not able to scramble and receivers aren't able to move around based off what he's doing.
And then when you get to him, you have to get him on the ground, unlike what Michigan wasn't able to do.
Yep.
Where he was just running around, doing whatever, making plays with his legs. So then receivers, they abandon their normal route and they just try to get open because their quarterback was running for his life. And they made a lot of good plays with that. So, Georgia did the same thing against Ohio State. They got the initial pressure, but couldn't contain Stroud. And Ohio State got big plays off that. So Max will do the same thing.
I'm going right where Grant went with talking about the run game. They need better balance. I mean, just under 400 passing yards to 130 rush yards. Like, that's not going to cut it versus TCU. One, I don't think they're going to pass for 400 yards anyway.
No.
But you're going to have to run the ball. Like, they average 5 yards a carry versus Ohio State. That's great and all, but it didn't honestly really feel like that.
No.
It seemed like anytime they had to get yards, it was a pass play. So that's going to have to change. But for TCU, it's honestly the same thing. Keep the running game going a little bit, mix it up the pass, get Quentin Johnson around the field, get him in those mismatches is really kind of hide him. I guess they did that versus Michigan really well.
Well, and then, Kaylee Ringo, he tried to go 1v1 with Marvin Harrison Jr., and he
That didn't go well. Yeah.
It did not go well. And, Quentin Johnson, he's not Marvin Harrison Jr., but he's a damn good receiver. And if Kaylee's having a bad day, this TCU, Georgia then Dylan, like you said, might have to bracket Quentin Johnson. But if that's the case, this Sonny Dykes offense with Lincoln Riley's brother calling the shots, they're going to find that one-on-one matchup and they're going to expose them. With this air raid, it's just, can TCU keep Max upright?
Yeah, well, and back to your point, Ethan, the 400 pass yards, that's also due in fact because Georgia got behind by 2 scores late in the fourth quarter where they had to throw. I think Georgia needs to play this. Georgia can't do what Michigan did where the game was played on TCU terms. I think right away, Georgia kick a field goal. If you go down that first drive, you don't get in the end zone, take the points. It gets something. It's better than nothing. And then, what Michigan had to do is they were chasing TCU the rest of the day. And that's not a good recipe.
Well, and guys, Georgia wants 450 yards of offense. Who doesn't? But they want 200 of that on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 300.
Yeah, but like in all seriousness, if they have the kind of game that they want to have 250 on the ground, and they want to have Stenson throw for, 200 to 225.
Yep. And part of it, and yeah, so I don't know if I'm ready to pick TCU to win yet, but they've everybody has written them off at every step of the way. In the regular season, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas, they were going to lose all of those games, and yet they've found ways to win. Part of me says this feels like a St. Peter's versus North Carolina run where it was like, okay, you guys have been a nice story. We're Georgia, we're the big boys. We're gonna show you how it's done, type of thing. But the other part of it is, on the flip side, is it is very hard to repeat as champions. The last team to do it was Alabama in 2011 and 2012. That's the other part of me where it's like I'm trying to find a balance in between it.
Yep.
So I think Georgia wins, but I think TCU covers the 12.5.
I think that's fair.
And
I think it's going to be a lot closer than people
think.
think.
If I bet on anything too, I think the safest bet might be TCU in the first half. I don't know what the line is, but that seems like probably the best bet because I think they will come out with their hair on fire, ready to play.
Yeah, I'm with you, but also I think for Georgia's sake, that game they had against Ohio State was exactly what Kirby Smart wanted.
Yep.
For them to come around.
That's the other part too.
They think they're better. They're better than everyone else. We're going to come in. The game's in our backyard. We're going to beat the hell out of these guys. Whoa. Nope. They came out. They're ready to play. They're taking it to us. We needed to look ourselves in the mirror, recompose, and come out and finish this game. Now that might be a thing where TCU should be worried about because Georgia is locked in. And when Georgia has needed to be locked in this year, no one's getting within 3 touchdowns of them.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking maybe I might pick Georgia to cover the 12.5. It's also because TCU played an incredible game against Michigan. Georgia, by their standards, they did not. And you see that happen a lot of times where a team in the semis plays the game of their life. They play one of their best games, dominating fashion, and then the next game I don't know if they rest on their laurels. It's just not there. And then the team that didn't play the best, they're thankful to make it in. They go and they just blow the doors off in the championship game. We've seen that 1,000 times with NDSU, where they've had battles in the semis, and then the championship games are just blowouts.
And that's kind of where I'm at, because I think, like I said, Georgia's locked in. Then also, they already have somewhat of a game plan against this TCU offense. They play Tennessee in early November.
Yep.
It's that same offense there, and I think they'll be able to lean back and really watch that film and see what worked and what didn't work. And then they'll be able to implement that on Monday night this week. And then also I think Stenson's going to sit back and realize, I was pretty much out of character in that Ohio State game. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be who I have been all year. And we're going to go out and we're going to win this game.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to see what's going to happen Monday night. And you'll have to come back on Wednesday or Thursday to find out what we think, what we saw. We'll digest it all. But let's put a bow on this show, and let's wrap this up with Curveball of the Week. And I have Curveball of the Week this week. So, fellas, it is New Year's. New Year. It is the new year. It is 2023, and I think it's just like a pretty standard question here. It's just a traditional question: is what is your guys' New Year's resolution, if you have one? And if you don't say you have one, just for the sake of saying it?
Well, I'm running a 10K in June, so I guess that's my New Year's resolution.
All right.
You
Okay.
just got to get that cardiovascular. And
Gotta start here soon.
now, if I'm not mistaken, Ethan, are you running this in the altitude out there in Colorado?
We're actually doing it in Charlotte now.
Ooh, that's going to be worse. Ooh,
It's going to be hot.
You're not going to be.
But it's at 6:30 at night.
It's still going to be humid out.
It'll be humid, yeah.
But
Yeah,
Hopefully it doesn't rain that day before, because that's going to be even worse.
won't be fun.
yeah, you're not going to be able to breathe, my guy.
And it's in a wooded area, so I mean, we're probably going to get eaten alive by mosquitoes.
Oh, and you're not going to be able to breathe because there's going to be no air flowing around there. Good
What's dinner that night, Ethan? It's mosquitoes.
mosquitoes.
Well, hopefully you don't end up like Andy Bernard on The Office, where when they ran the 5K, and when he starts running, nipples start chapping up, and you start bleeding.
I don't think so.
No, okay,
Sounds
well,
fun.
Just get some Band-Aids over them.
yeah, you just got to put some Band-Aids over
Just
him.
get some
Strip 'em
Band-Aids.
off.
It's a real thing. It is a real thing.
I was
Sure.
told that in Horrible Bosses by a apparently not so good man, Kevin Spacey.
No, not a good man.
Not a
No,
good man.
Not by any means.
Yike-a-roonies there.
So, Grant, what you got a New Year's resolution? What's yours?
I don't know if I want to call this a resolution, but as you guys know, one of my other favorite things to do is just hit the gym and hit the weights. I love working out and such like that. And what I want to do this year is expand on that, and maybe not do a half marathon or a 10K like what you guys are doing, but find like a gym in the cities here where maybe I could do like some kickboxing or mixed martial arts or like do some boxing training. I'm not looking to get into fights with anyone. Just train like that. Once, twice a week, just kind of change it up a little bit, and still lift crazy heavy weights and eat a bunch of food. But like I said, once, twice a week, kind of get on a bag and maybe do, like I said, little boxing, little mixed martial arts, little something like that.
Okay,
I like it.
Ethan, what's going to happen is just by like May, every time we go record, Grant's going to be sitting on here with like a tap out shirt. He's going to have his hat on backwards.
I'm going to have a neck tattoo.
Yeah, probably a neck tattoo.
No
And
regrets.
Yeah, no regret. He's not going to have it on his chest. He's just going to have it on his forehead.
Not even one letter. Not even one letter, son.
Nope.
And then, yeah, and you're gonna have to like have bailed him out like a couple of times because he's gone out.
It's the
or gone to a grocery store. Somebody looked at him the wrong way. He popped him in the face.
with the combination of doing this and watching Yellowstone, I'm just gonna be throwing hands left and right.
Yep, exactly.
I'm just gonna be throwing hands because someone looks at me funny.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%.
Have the Monster energy drink
Yep. You're gonna be going around drinking a Monster all the time.
or drinking bang.
He's gonna
Things are still around.
Oh, fucking love Bang.
He's gonna trade in his Nissan for a big jacked up pickup, get it all decked out. He's gonna have a lift kit, everything.
The dual exhaust.
He's gonna have. Yep, his license plate's gonna be like flexing or something.
I'm pumped.
At that point, you might as well just move out to my neck of the woods and just join the oil field and be a rig pig.
I was gonna say that, or I was waiting for you to pull is Florida Man Grant coming out again?
You would. I don't need. That might. We might have to figure out a new name if that were to happen.
That were to happen. Oh boy.
Yeah. So I'll get back to you on it. I don't know if it'll be over a podcast, but I will. I'll think of something and let you know what.
There we go.
And you can let me know. But
yeah. So like I said, not sure if it's a resolution, but that's what it is.
Hey, that's a good one. That is something different.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we wouldn't try to. Nobody would want to mess with you then. So, we've got kickboxer Grant.
Always, I'm just just a big dude in general. No,
Or are you going to be Grant Tate?
like douchey name.
You know who I'm talking about though, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because he was a kickboxer.
Yes, he was.
And he's gonna be wearing. You're gonna be wearing your sunglasses inside all the time.
Yep, I'm gonna find his second brother, and we're gonna be smoking cigars all the time, while we're doing a different podcast. But also, you'll
just be sitting up in your upstairs watching TV with Alec. You're just gonna be lighting up a stogie, and Alec's gonna be looking at you like, "What are you doing? This is my house. You can't smoke in here. I make the rules, not you, peasant." It might be your house, but I wear the pants at this house.
It's funny. People know Andrew Tate from the TikTok such, but people forget he was a world champion kickboxer.
And also no, he wasn't. His dad was he was a grandmaster at chess.
Wow.
Which shows why he's maybe not smart, but he can put an argument together for anything. He's very.
Oh yeah. He could sell. He could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yes, he could. And
so,
could you imagine getting in a courtroom with that guy?
Nope.
Oh,
nope.
You'd quit just because he wouldn't stop talking.
Yeah. That's why he's an alpha male and we're not.
That is correct.
And well, mine is, if you guys follow me on my social medias, I posted it on New Year's Day. Last year I read 13 books. It's something that I did back in 2020, something I found a lot of just enjoyment and just kind of something that relaxed me, took my mind off of things, was when I would just sit down for however long and read a chapter a day. I wish I would have been more consistent where I actually said I've read a chapter a day, but didn't always happen. So this year and last year I said I was reading 13. This year I'm going to try to do 14 books.
Well, there we go.
In 12 months.
There you go.
So I'm already on book 1. It is called Killing of the Stars by Bill O'Reilly. It talks about the death of Elvis, John Lennon, and Muhammad Ali.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It talked about how fame is essentially what killed them. Watching the Elvis movie, if you guys have seen it, it would make sense of how fame eventually led to his death.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this in a group chat, so we got some exciting things coming down the pipe as once football season gets over, probably maybe even after March Madness, I would say, because it's still a busy time. And then after that, everything kind of dies down for a while. We talked about this, we're going to do a book club. And we'll let you guys know what the book is as that approaches. But I think we have it locked down of what book we are going to do. So stay tuned for that. And that's all we got for this week, you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Check us out on all of our social medias: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. 3GTB Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Facebook is the Three Guys Talking Ball Facebook page. Be posting content on there. We'll be posting shorter segments of the show on YouTube. Subscribe there. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And got the special episode Saturday that I've talked about. So that puts a bow on this week's episode of the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.